Once there was a soldier who had nothing left but 3 small coins in his pocket. Yet, with courage in his heart and fate on his side, he met companions with the strangest and most powerful gifts. A man who could uproot trees like weeds, a hunter who could shoot the eye of a fly miles away, a runner faster than the wind, a man whose breath could move mountains, and another whose little hat could freeze the world. Together, they would face a cunning king, impossible challenges, and a treasure worth an entire kingdom. There was once a man who was skilled in many things. He had fought bravely in the war and earned his honor, but when the war ended, he was discharged and sent away with only 3 coins in his pocket. "This isn't enough," he muttered. "If I meet the right people, I'll make the king hand me all the treasures in his kingdom." Frustrated, he stormed into the forest. There, he saw a man who had pulled 6 trees out of the ground as easily as if they were weeds. "Will you join me as my companion and travel with me?" he asked. "Gladly," the strong man replied. "But first, I need to carry this bundle of firewood to my mother." He tied the 6 trees together, hoisted them on his shoulder as though they weighed nothing, and carried them off. Soon after, he returned and set out with his new master. "Now the 2 of us," said the soldier, "can surely make our way across the wide world." Not long after, they met a hunter crouching low, his rifle resting on his shoulder. He was aiming carefully at something far away. "What are you aiming at, hunter?" the soldier asked. 2 miles from here, there's a fly sitting on the branch of an oak tree," the hunter replied. "I want to shoot out its left eye." "Come with us," said the soldier. "If the 3 of us travel together, we'll have no trouble making it through the wide world." The hunter agreed and joined them. Before long, they came upon 7 windmills, their sails spinning wildly, even though not a single breeze stirred and not even a leaf was moving. "That's strange," said the soldier. "There isn't the faintest wind, so what's making those mills turn?" They kept walking, and after 2 miles they saw a man sitting high in a tree, blocking one nostril with his finger and blowing out of the other with such force that the air roared. "Hey, what are you blowing at up there?" the man asked. The fellow replied, 2 miles from here stand 7 windmills. Look, I'm the one blowing to make their sails turn." "Then come with me," said the man. "If the 4 of us travel together, we'll easily make it through the wide world." So the blower climbed down and joined them. After a while, they came across another man who was standing on one leg, with the other leg unstrapped and lying beside him. "You seem to have made yourself quite comfortable for a rest," said the master. "I'm a runner," the man answered, "and so I don't run too fast. I've taken one leg off. When I use both legs, I'm faster than a bird in flight." "Then come with me," said the master. "If the 5 of us stick together, we'll easily make it through the wide world." So the runner went along with them. Not long afterwards, they met a man wearing a small hat, tilted so far it hung over one ear. "Have some manners," the master scolded. "Don't wear your hat that way. You look like a fool." "I can't," the man said. "If I were to put my hat on straight, a frost would come so fierce that even the birds in the sky would freeze and fall dead to the ground." "Then come with me," said the master. "If the 6 of us are together, we'll easily make it through the wide world." Now the 6 companions came to a town where the king had declared a challenge. Whoever could race against his daughter and win would marry her. But if the challenger lost, he would lose his head. When the man heard this, he declared, "I will take part in the race, but I'll have my servant run for me." The king replied, "Then both of your heads are at risk. If he loses, both your life and his must be forfeit to the winner." When the terms were agreed and settled, the man strapped on the runner's second leg and said to him, "Now be quick and make sure we win." The challenge was that whoever first brought back water from a stream far away would be the victor. The runner took a pitcher, and the king's daughter took another, and they both started at the same time. But within moments, when the king's daughter had only just gotten a little way off, the runner was already out of sight, moving so fast it seemed like the wind had rushed past. In no time, he reached the stream, filled his pitcher with water, and started back. But halfway home, a heavy drowsiness suddenly came over him. He set down his pitcher, lay down, and fell asleep. Still, He used a horse's skull lying nearby as his pillow, so that his rest would not be too comfortable and he might wake up sooner. Meanwhile, the king's daughter, who could run well, at least as fast as an ordinary man, reached the stream, filled her pitcher with water, and began hurrying back. When she came upon the runner asleep, she was overjoyed and said, "My opponent has been delivered into my hands." She emptied out his pitcher and ran on. All would have been lost if, by good fortune, the hunter had not been watching from the castle tower. With his sharp eyes, he had seen everything. "Ah," he said, "the king's daughter will not outsmart us." And he loaded his gun and took aim so skillfully that he shot away the horse's skull from under the runner's head without harming him. The runner awoke, leapt to his feet, and saw that his pitcher was empty while the king's daughter was already far ahead. But he did not lose heart. He rushed back to the stream, filled his pitcher again, and still managed to return home 10 minutes before the king's daughter arrived. "Look," said the runner, "I was only stretching my legs. That was nothing of a race." But the king was furious, and his daughter was even more upset that she might be given away to a common, discharged soldier. They plotted together how they might destroy him and his companions. "Don't worry," said the king to her. "I've thought of a way. They won't be going home again." Then he said to the soldier and his men, "You must now celebrate together. Eat and drink to your heart's content." He led them into a hall where the floor was made of iron, the doors were iron, and even the windows were barred with iron. Inside was a table loaded with delicious food. "Go in and enjoy yourselves," the king told them. And as soon as they stepped inside, he had the doors locked and bolted tight. Then he called for the cook and ordered him to build a great fire beneath the room until the iron floor glowed red-hot. The cook obeyed, and soon the six, sitting at the table, began to feel the warmth rising. At first, they thought it was simply from the rich food and good drink. But when the heat grew stronger and stronger, and they tried to leave only to find the doors and windows sealed, they realized the king meant them harm and was trying to roast them alive. "But he won't succeed," cried the man with the little hat. "I'll bring a frost so fierce that even the fire will die out in shame." He straightened his hat, and instantly such an icy cold swept through the room that all the heat vanished, and the food on the table began to freeze solid. After 2 hours passed, the king was certain they must be dead from the unbearable heat. He ordered the doors opened and entered the room himself to see. But to his shock, there stood all 6 men, alive and cheerful, saying they were glad to step outside and warm themselves, for the bitter cold inside had frozen every dish of food solid. The king, furious, turned on the cook, scolding him harshly and demanding why he had not carried out the order. But the cook replied, "There's plenty of heat down there. See for yourself." Then the king looked and saw the great fire blazing beneath the iron room, and he realized there was no way he could harm the 6 in this manner. So the king began once more to scheme how he might rid himself of his unwelcome guests. He summoned the master before him and said, "If you'll take gold instead of my daughter, you can have as much as you like." "Oh yes, your majesty," the man replied. "Give me as much as my servant can carry, and I'll give up my claim to your daughter." The king was overjoyed, and the man added, "I will return to fetch it in 14 days. Then he gathered together all the tailors in the kingdom and made them sit sewing for 14 days straight, stitching a sack. When at last it was finished, he had the strong man, the one who had uprooted the trees, take the sack on his shoulder and accompany him to the king. When the king saw him, he said, "What a powerful fellow that is, carrying such a bale of cloth as large as a house on his shoulder." And he grew uneasy, thinking, "What a fortune he'll take away if he loads it with gold." Still, he ordered a ton of gold to be brought, which 16 of the strongest men had to carry. But the strong man seized it with one hand, tossed it into the sack, and said, "Why don't you bring me more? That barely covers the bottom." So the king had to send for more and more of his treasure, which the strong man kept shoveling into the sack. Yet even then, the sack was only half full. "Bring more," the strong man shouted. "These crumbs don't even fill it." So the king ordered 7,000 wagons loaded with all the gold from his kingdom to be brought forward. And the strong man shoved the entire load, wagons, oxen, and all, into the sack. I won't be picky any longer, the strong man said. I'll take whatever comes, just so the sack is filled. But even after everything had been loaded in, it still wasn't enough. At last he said, I'll be done with this. It's easy enough to tie up a sack that isn't full. Then he slung it onto his back and set off with his companions. Now, when the king saw a single man carrying away the wealth of the whole kingdom, he was furious. He ordered his cavalry to mount up and pursue the six, and to bring back the strong man with the sack. Soon, 2 regiments overtook them and shouted, You are prisoners. Lay down the sack of gold, or you will be cut down. What's that you say? Cried the blower. We are prisoners. Before that happens, you'll dance in the sky. Then he blocked one nostril, blew out of the other, and sent the 2 regiments whirling into the blue heavens over the mountains. One blown this way, the other that. A sergeant major cried out for mercy, saying, I have 9 wounds already, and I am a brave man. I don't deserve such shame. So the blower spared him and let him down unharmed. Then he told him, Now go back to your king and tell him that if he sends any more cavalry, I will blow them all into the air. When the king heard this message, he said, Let those men go, they are under some spell. So the 6 companions carried the treasure home, divided it among themselves, and lived happily and contentedly to the end of their days.